la deriva, Adrift, by Horacio Quiroga. The man stepped on something whitish, and immediately he felt the bite on his foot. He jumped forward, cursing, and turned around to see the yarakakusu coiled around itself, waiting for another attack. The man cast a quick glance at his foot, where 2 droplets of blood were swelling arduously, and drew his machete from his belt. The viper saw the threat and hid its head deeper in the middle of its coiled spiral, but the machete came down on its back, separating the snake's vertebrae. The man knelt down to examine the bite, rubbed off the droplets of blood, and thought for a moment. A sharp pain spread from the 2 violet punctures and began to invade his whole foot. Hurriedly, he tied his bandana around his ankle and hobbled along the trail towards his ranch. The pain in his foot spread, with the sensation of flesh bulging out from his taut skin. And suddenly the man felt 2 or 3 stabbing pains, like lightning, had radiated out from the wound to the middle of his calf. He had difficulty moving his foot. A metallic dryness seized his throat, followed by a burning thirst. He let out another curse. He finally arrived at his ranch and threw himself with his arms atop the wheel of his sugar mill. The 2 violet dots now vanished in the monstrous swelling of his entire foot. His skin appeared to grow thin and tense, to the point of bursting. He tried to call to his wife, and his voice broke in a coarse cry, and was pulled back into his dry throat. The thirst devoured it. "Dorotea!" he managed to throw out in a powerful cry. "Give me rum!" His wife ran over with a full glass, that the man sipped down in 3 gulps. But he had not felt any comfort. "I asked for rum, not water," he bellowed out again. "Give me rum!" "But it is rum, Paulino," protested the wife, frightened. "No, you gave me water. I want rum, I tell you." The woman ran back, returning with the demijohn bottle. The man drank one after another, 2 glasses, but felt nothing in his throat. "Well, this is becoming ugly," then he murmured, looking at his foot, pale and already with a gangrenous luster. Over the bandana bandage, flesh overflowed like a monstrous blood sausage. The stunning pain continued expanding in lightning bolts that reached his groin. The atrocious thirst in his throat seemed to grow more, increasing in pairs. When he attempted to sit up, he was overtaken by an instant vomit for half a minute, with his head supported on the wooden wheel. But the man did not want to die, and made his way down to the shore, where he climbed into his canoe. He sat in the stern and began to paddle toward the center of the Paraná River. There, the current of the river, which runs 6 miles an hour in the vicinity of the Iguazu Falls, would take him to Takarupuku in less than 5 hours. The man, with somber energy, managed to arrive exactly in the middle of the river, but there his numb hands dropped the paddle back into the canoe, and after vomiting again, with blood this time, he glanced at the sun that had already set behind the mountain. His whole leg, through the middle of his thigh, had already become a deformed and hard block, bursting his clothing. The man cut the bandage and opened his pants with his knife. His underbelly flowed out swollen, with large pale blotches, terribly painful. The man thought he could no longer reach Takarupuka by himself, and decided to ask for help from his friend Albays, even though they had been upset with each other for some time. The current of the river now rushed over the Brazilian side of the river bank, and the man easily docked his canoe. He dragged himself up the trail that ran up the slope, but after 20 meters, exhausted, he remained there, stretched out on his chest. "Always!" he yelled with as much force as he could, and he listened in vain. "Buddy Always! Don't deny me this favor," he exclaimed again, lifting his head from the ground. In the silence of the jungle, not even a whisper was heard. The man found the courage and strength to climb back into his canoe, and the current, catching it again, took it rapidly adrift. The Paraná River ran down into the depths of an immense canyon, whose walls, more than 100 meters high, mournfully boxed in the river. From the river banks, lined with black blocks of basalt, rose the forest, black as well. In front, to the sides, behind, always the eternal dismal wall, in whose depths the swirling river rushed, in incessant bubbling of muddy water. The landscape is aggressive and reigns in him a silence of death. As dusk approaches, however, its somber beauty and calm cover a unique majesty. The sun had already gone down when the man, lying stretched out in the bottom of the canoe, had a violent chill. Suddenly, with astonishment, he slowly raised his heavy head. He felt better. His leg barely hurt. His thirst diminished, and his chest, now free, opened in a slow inhalation. The venom began to leave him, there was no doubt. He found himself well, and even though he did not have the energy to move his hand, he counted on the dewfall to recuperate him completely. He calculated that in less than 3 hours he would be in Takarupuku. His condition improved, and with it came a sleepiness full of memories. He felt nothing in his leg nor in his belly. Does his friend go on to still live in Takarupuku? Perhaps he might also see his ex-employer, Mr. Duggold, and the receiver of the manufacturing. Would he arrive soon? The sky to the west, opened now in a golden screen, and the river took on the same color also. From the Paraguayan shore, already darkened, the mountain let fall over the river a freshness of twilight in a penetrating aura of orange blossom and wild honey. A pair of macaws flew high overhead, silently towards Paraguay. Down there on the golden river, the canoe drifted rapidly, twisting itself around at times, caught in the bubbling, swirling water. The man that went with it felt each time better, and thought in the meantime about how long it had been since he last saw his old partner Duggold. 3 years? Maybe not. Not that much. 2 years and 9 months? Perhaps. 8.5 months? That was it, surely. Suddenly the man felt frozen up to his chest. What could it be? In his breathing? The man who had bought Mr. Duggold's lumber, Lorenzo Cubilla. He had met him in Puerto Esperanza on a Good Friday. Friday? Yes. Or Thursday? The man slowly stretched his fingers. A Thursday. And he stopped breathing.